Okay, now we're going to do the lesson on adding integers. Hopefully this is a review for you. So let's look at the information that is at the top here. So we start off with there are two boxes here. One talks about how to add integers that have the same sign, and then this other box talks about how to add integers that have different signs. So when we talk about same sign, that means that either both integers are positive or they are both negative. Different signs means exactly that. One is positive and one is negative, and we don't care what the order is. So it tells us if we're adding integers that have the same sign, then we add up their absolute values and give the result of the same sign. So meaning a positive plus a positive is a positive, or a negative plus a negative would be a negative. And then this first example is given. So if you're finding the sum of -3 and -4, well, 3 plus 4 is 7. They have the same sign, so this answer would be -7. And then we're finding the sum of two integers that have different signs. So, for example, if I'm adding -5 plus -4. So what it says to do is subtract their absolute values. So I do 5 minus 4, which gives me a 1. And the result, to figure out the sign would go with the number that had the larger absolute value. The absolute value of -5 is larger than the absolute value of 4. So since this one is negative, the answer is -1. Another way that I like to say this is I say, are there more positives or more negatives? In this case, there are more negatives, so it would be -1. This one, 6 plus -2. So first we subtract the 2. So 6 minus 2 is 4. And then are there more positives or are there more negatives? So there are more positives, so the answer is +4. So let's try a few problems. All right, so looking at number 1, I've got to do 6 plus -3. So first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to do 6 minus 3, which is 3. And I have more positives, so the answer is +3. So I'll even highlight that so you can see. And actually, I'll write it down here. I did 6 minus 3. Look at number 2. We've got -3 plus -5. Now this time the integers have the same sign. So I'm actually going to find what is 3 plus 5. Well, 3 plus 5 is 8. And since they have the same sign, and they're both negative, that's going to be a -8. So there's your answer, -8. Look at number 3. 7 plus -3. They are different signs, so we would subtract. We'll do 7 minus 3, which gives us 4. And then we say, do we have more positives or negatives? Well, we have more positives, so the answer here is going to be +4. Look at problem 4. -4 plus -4. So since they have the same sign, we are going to add them. Oops. So 4 plus 4 is 8, and we're going to keep that negative sign. So the answer here would be -8. Looking at number 5, we have -8 plus 5. So those signs are not the same, they're different. So I'm just going to find what is 8 minus 5. 8 minus 5, remember, is 3. And then I look, do I have more positives or more negatives? Well, I have more negatives. So this would be -3. We'll do one more, and then you can practice on your own. So we've got to do number 6, which is -12 plus -10. So since they have the same sign, I'm going to add the 12 and the 10 together. 12 plus 10 is 22. And they had the same sign, which means I'm going to keep that sign. So it's going to be -22. Okay, now I want you to go back. I want you to pause this video, and I want you to complete problems 7 through 27 on your own. And then you can come back here and check your answers. Good luck. Okay, now that you're back, you should be checking the answers to problems 7 through 27. I have gone through, I have shown work for my thought process for each one, and I highlighted the final answers. A couple of things I want to talk about. Let's look at number 9, for example. I just want to point out number 9, you are supposed to subtract those two 6's, and 6 minus 6 is 0. Remember that 0 is the only number that's not positive or negative. So there would be no such thing as a negative 0 or a positive 0. So that's just 0. A couple other things that I noticed, like if you'll look at, for example, let's go to number 19. Even though these numbers have different signs, just subtract the numbers like you normally would. For example, 18 minus 7. Don't worry about the order right now. So I did 18 minus 7 to get the 9, okay? And there are more negatives, so that's why it's negative 9. All right, so after you go through this and fully check your solutions, once you've got that and you feel like you understand it, then you'll be ready to go on and do the independent practice for this lesson and then move on to the mastery check. Good luck.